I'm so delighted to be here this morning, not just because this is a celebration of women in the arts, one of my favorite topics, but because I've always wanted to stand at the Christie podium. So I worked at Christie's approximately 20 years ago, and at the time there were very few female auctioneers. And just before I left, Christie's was offering auctioneer training. And there was no question, had I not left the company like 6 months before to pursue another avenue, I was applying. So thank you for indulging me in this. If I suddenly start calling out baby increments, don't be surprised. Just need to gavel. So while I often live in the future, a place of my own aspirations, this morning I'd like to talk a little bit about the past, the present, and then the future. But before I do, I'd like to talk about celebration. I'm thrilled that Christie's Education chose to call this conference a celebration that of women's achievements in the visual arts. And I'm thrilled because while there are many, many conferences focused on women, not all are billed as celebrations. And this prompts me to think about the meaning of celebration. So here's what I came up with. A celebration is an expression of happiness and praise. Celebration is active, it's often specific, and it's abundant. Celebration is a common denominator that we all share, and it can cross the boundaries of time and place, race, religion, education, and economics. A celebration naturally elicits enthusiasm. A celebration inspires, enlightens, and motivates us to find greater understanding. Celebration frees our creative essence and provides the fuel to move beyond our problems to find the answers. Celebration can clarify a vision, create connection, foster community, build bridges, and power up possibility. And finally, a celebration can be an act of gratitude. Abraham Joshua Heschel said, and I quote, "Celebration is an active state, an act of expressing reverence or appreciation. Celebration is a confrontation, giving attention to the transcendent meaning of one's actions." End quote. When we take the position of celebration versus, say, victimization, we have both on the individual and communal level the opportunity to rise above the notion of a zero-sum game. We become this new tagline that I keep hearing, linked versus ranked. If I look back at the past, to my early childhood, I had the great advantage of growing up in a house without dichotomy. I was raised by a single mother among her female relatives and female friends. There were neither labels nor limits. My mother was and still is a feminist, an independent woman who leaned on other independent women in her community. It wasn't until age 9 that my mother married a man, and quite naturally my world changed and for the better. This man I call Dad, he taught me a lot and still does, but most relevant to this talk, he taught me about the potential obstacles that I might face in the future as a woman in the world. My father understood the world, understood the sexes, and tried to prepare me for what he saw as a future potential struggle, or as he expressed it, "You will need to kick some ass, and then kick some more." I rightly interpreted that to mean you will need to fight. But it wasn't until many years later that I understood what fighting meant. Fast forward some 10 years to my early 20s, I was a one-woman department, the only one-woman department at Christie's known as Old Master Drawings. And I was surrounded by what was then an all-male department known as Old Master Paintings. This male-female ratio would change over time, but for many years I stood alone. And while my male colleagues next door have since become close colleagues and friends, at the time I was pretty much flying solo. A distant observer of this entirely all-male community who leaned on each other for pretty much everything. Now, given my upbringing, I didn't have the expectation of being part of this community, and I took the position that I knew best, that of no labels or limits. I simply put my head down and I worked. But something was missing, something that I needed, that I would eventually have to fight for. So before I continue, I'd like to share with you some of the challenges and then the advantages to the art world. The challenges. This is not going to be shocking. The art world is unregulated. It is undefined, meaning there isn't a clear trajectory, sometimes not even a clear entry point. And it's a field that on the whole prides itself on its opaque nature. In sum, as a 20-something female, there is no clear path, few navigational tools, and few professional resources. But here's the good news. There are probably thousands of intelligent, resourceful, passionate, committed women and men working in this field who can become your allies. At the time, I happened to know some of the best. 5 women, most of whom I had worked with at Christie's, who at some point had all left the auction world, and we conveniently all worked within a block away from each other on the Upper East Side. These women would eventually become the founding members of the Professional Organization of Women in the Arts, a nonprofit I founded this year that celebrates its 10th anniversary. But before we move into the present, just a bit more about the past. I used to have a television, and on more occasions than not, I would scream at it. I would watch some sort of news special on various social injustice, mostly involving women, and I'd get kind of crazy, either with some form of sadness or rage. And when I wasn't screaming at the television, I was screaming at my friends. Not exactly at them, but they were the recipients of my frustration. I would complain that I didn't have a similar community to that of the boys next door, complain that I didn't quite know how to answer my various business questions. But the overarching complaint was that there just weren't enough resources or network to discuss what I wanted to talk about, to address what I needed, and how I was going to fight for those things. This was a lot of complaining. But behind every complaint, there is a desire. And my desire was to have a community of like-minded professionals who I could speak freely with, ask questions to, and also share my own resources and experience. So I'm grateful to the friend who generously and somewhat gently asked the question, would you like to keep complaining, or would you like to do something about it? Now, the answer to this question was rather daunting, because in my mind, to build the type of community and structure that I wanted, it felt like a full-time job. And I was correct in thinking that. Running Power Arts during the years of conception was indeed a full-time job, and one of the most rewarding that I've ever had. Because as daunting as the answer to that question was, it was also entirely necessary. So with that, I began to research other professional groups that existed in almost every other field. And I wrote a mission statement, one that included education, advancement, community, and collaboration. By now, I had left Christie, and I had joined the Persian Gallery on Madison Avenue. And having finished drafting the mission, core values, and code of ethics, I called upon those 5 brilliant women who I mentioned earlier. And in my office, over a bottle of wine, I asked for their buy-in, and their response was a resounding yes. These women were officially my new community, and shortly after, with the help of a pro bono lawyer, they were my community in the form of a 501c3. Our goal was to expand our band of 6, creating a much larger network where discussion in various formats would be built around the needs of our community, where we could speak candidly, find answers to questions we all had, and find allies that would support us in our fight. In March 2008, we hosted a launch event where I stood in a tall chair among the sea of art world professionals and presented our mission. Today, Power Arts is a nationwide nonprofit with plans for expansions to new locations in the not-too-distant future. Run by a volunteer staff of 12 women, all employed in various sectors of the visual arts. Power Arts produces at a minimum 1 event monthly, sometimes upwards of 3, on various business topics ranging from better budgeting, planning for retirement and an art world salary, negotiating for better pay, to breastfeeding in an art fair booth. The conversation is both candid and educational, and all of our programming serves to foster the advancement of our members. But aside from the educational programming, the heart of our mission lies in community, mutual support for and celebration of our members, and a belief that our community must encompass individuals from all sectors of the art business and at all levels. Our members are museum, auction house, gallery, nonprofit, and academic professionals, with positions that range from the reception desk to directorship. We have a student membership at the graduate level that champions the next generation art professionals. We have a retired level membership for women that wish to stay connected to the community. We have a supporter level membership for women that work outside the art market and wish to network within the organization. And finally, Power Arts welcomes men. Because as Dr. Michael Kimmel, a gender studies professor who I quite admire, wisely noted in his keynote speech, if we do not include men in the conversation, we are simply talking to ourselves. Our members and their needs guide our programming, and the spirit of the organization is that of inclusion, support, and celebration. It's been a privilege for me to see the organization grow beyond its initial founding members in our network, and I feel no greater level of success than when I walk into a Power Arts event to discover a sea of new faces. If you were to attend a Power Arts event, you would find professionals from all walks of life and from all sectors of our field, gathered together towards a common goal, exemplifying the highest level of collegiality, and I would go so far as to say humanity. I think many of us would agree that the arts have the greatest potential to bring diverse people together. When an artist successfully creates a work of art, it's an attempt to communicate on a powerful emotional level, and the best can transcend its cultural matrix and speak directly to our common humanity. The visual arts may have the greatest potential to transcend because it's free from the limitation of language. And given the advancements in technology, the globalization of artwork has never been more real or possible. Today, everyone is communicating with everybody else. Art lends itself to the full range of experiential capabilities offered by new technologies, thus so superbly serving as a universal language, one that we are also fluent in. As professionals in the visual arts, we act as a means towards understanding the history, the culture, and the values of others. We build bridges into unknown cultural territories, and there we learn, we dream, and we creatively work together. Perhaps it's naive to believe art is such a universal language that we can actually open windows for all to see that after fighting our fights, we're all just humans. And this fight that I mentioned earlier, the fight that my father alluded to, that he tried his best to prepare me for, that of being a woman in the world. Imagine we could transform the idea of a zero-sum game, the game of victim and victimizer, into a game of equality, which by its very nature is never a zero-sum game. It's an everyone wins scenario, where I can fight for my rights as a feminist without it being at the expense of someone else's rights. When victimization is transformed into celebration, something that this conference achieves so wonderfully. As yesterday we celebrated the great female patrons, critics, historians, and theorists, and today we celebrate the female artists, collectors, museum professionals, and look towards a bright future for women in the art world. And this brings me to the future. We tend to think that the environmental movement is somehow different than the feminist movement, or the LGBTQ movement, or the civil rights movement, or any other movement going on today, when in fact they are all very deeply linked. In perhaps the same way, we think the challenges that face female academics are somehow different from the challenges that face female art dealers, or face female museum professionals, or that face female auction house professionals. Imagine we could see how deeply we're all linked. Imagine that through all of our challenges, we become each other's allies, collaborators, and resources. Imagine how much more effective we can be. But our community is not only a place to align yourself with your allies and share resources. It's within our communities that we celebrate our achievements. So here we are, a community of women celebrating the many achievements made by women in our field. Many of us know one another, many of us are meeting for the first time. And perhaps at the end of the day, you walk away having met new allies who are willing to stand next to you when you need to go to battle. Perhaps others will help you define your own desires and transform your frustrations into action. And perhaps others will become your future community, helping you to launch your ideas out into the world. My point is, we don't do this alone, even though sometimes we think we do. The very brilliant Gloria Steinem said, and I quote, "Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning." A long-time dream of mine has finally taken shape. Last season, Power Arts launched the first ever industry-wide salary survey, and in winter 2018, we will announce and publish our findings. This project has taken over 2 years, has been spearheaded by volunteers within Power Arts, supported by a team of volunteer statisticians, and over 1,500 art professionals responded within the first week. With the support of my community, this dream of mine, this massive undertaking, became a reality. And I thought I would share with you my dreams for the future. A dream of mine is when I don't even need to think about organizing a salary survey because salaries are both transparent and equitable. A dream of mine is when I don't feel it necessary to include support for women artists in my gallery's mission because female artists are both equally represented and compensated in the marketplace. I dream when half the attendants at a women's celebration are men who stand with us. And lastly, I dream of a time when there is no such thing as a women's conference, excluding a celebratory one, of course, because we are all equal professionals. I wonder what your dreams are. I wonder how you wish your future place of employment to look, your position to feel, your colleagues to act, and your paychecks to read. And I wonder what actions you might consider taking to help turn your frustration into a desire, and desire into reality. So with community celebration and celebration's gratitude, I would like to thank Christie's Education, aka Marinique, for finally giving me the opportunity to stand at Christie's podium. I would also like to thank everyone here today, the academics, the dealers, the collectors, all who make our field possible and who make up our community. Feminism has never been about one woman getting ahead. It's about making life equitable for all of us and celebrating our successes as we do. And there's no doubt we still have many things to fight for. In closing, I pose two final questions. How can we find both stronger and new communities among us? And as we do, how can we work more closely together towards effecting the many changes we all seek? What I learned after many years since my father's initial good advice is that a fight well fought is not done standing in our corners, simply working hard and doing it alone, with the belief that if he or she succeeds, I don't. The fight well fought is recognizing that our struggles are intrinsically linked. We are linked. And only when there is buy-in from all sides, not just from our community, but from all others around us, will we have that much more to celebrate. Thank you.